and the personal laws here. So the book 5, it talks about the duties, its responsibilities, about the king here, and the book 6 deals with the nature and functions. Okay, nature and functions of all the seven prakritis. Seven prakritis are nothing but the seven elements of the state here. And the what's the other remaining last nine books? It talks about the foreign policy, the war, diplomacy, and what's it? How you can sow the seeds of dissatisfaction towards the enemy here. Okay. So his Kautilya social thought is based upon the Varna system. We know what is Varna system. It is the four orders. We see how the society has been divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and the Shudras here. So, and also we have the Ashrama Dharma, which is the phases of the life cycle. So, first is the Brahmacharya, the student phase or the learner phase, you can see the grihastya, which is the household one, where you see the responsibilities taking up into consideration. The third is the vanaprastha, which means you are having that what's it, the retirement stage here. The fourth is the sannyasa, you can see the last life of the cycle here, you can see. So this brahmana was given the special function of the ceremonies. Whatever we see, the ceremonies that carried on, that are done by the brahmanas. And second position is with the kshatriyas. And because they are regarded as the, they have to protect the land here. Okay. So traders and merchants who come under the vaishyas were also of the important in the important segment in the society here, you can see. So there were Shudras who are actually from the agriculturists, the artisans, okay, the non-Aryans, you can see, and they are those Aryans who, I mean, those Shudras who are from the Aryans, who are non-Aryans, they are the actually out of the four Varnas, and the non-Aryans are called as the Chandalas here, you can see. They are mostly the untouchables because they are not falling into the Aryan clan. Okay. So the political thought about the Kautilya here, he talks about the Saptanga theory. Saptanga means seven. So it talks about the seven elements of the state here. So first is the Swami, the king, Amatya, the ministers, and Janapada. Janapada is your territory where the kingdom is been established. So Durga is the fourth. Okay. And the Kosha, Janapada is the people and the territory. Okay. Durga is the fort here, and the kosha is the treasury, the revenue you see, and the danda is the force here. Force in the sense that the army, you can see, and mitra is the allies that you uh, mitra is nothing but the friends or the allies that you go and have an agreement between. So the origin of state according to Kautilya is he treats that before the world was having this anarchy. Anarchy means there was a state where there was nothing properly were in the position, and there was a Matsya Nyayana. Matsya Nyayana means where a big fish follows the small fish. Okay, so where the superior one will eat out the inferior one. So the strong will oppress the inferior. Okay, so this was prevailed in the olden days. So it was hence seeing such conditions as there was an anarchist condition because the conditions were very bad here. They were not were there in the order here. So they have suffered from this conditions, and what did they do? The people, they have nominated the Vaisavat Manu, who is the sun god's son. Okay, he is the son of the sun god here as their king. So what did they do to protect themselves from all those conditions? They wanted to give their 1/6 of the food grains to them and the 1/10 of the goods, which also includes the tax towards the king because he is giving him the solid, what's it, safety and the prosperity for the people here. Okay, so the functions of the king, as there is a kingship, as there is a state that has been divided came up into consideration. Now we'll see what is the functions of the king here. So the function he has to advise, Kautilya advises the king that he should ensure that there should be safety for the women, property, and the and for the subjects here, whoever are in them. So he is saying that he has to be protected. King has to protect the subjects, the people, from eight types of natural calamities. Natural calamities are nothing but the natural disasters that you will see, like fire, flood, epidemics, which means the big diseases that you see, famines, rats, tigers, and the evil spirits that you see on. Next is the how you he suggests the king to catch hold of criminals with the help of what the spies. He have to keep up a spy system. Okay, and he also gives a different types of punishment for the different types of crimes here. And the function is to maintain the dharma, where everybody has to do their duties and responsibilities in relation to whatever the duties that they have, and in between the relations of being a husband, wife, son, brother, sister, teacher, and a thought here. So he also, Kautilya says that state is responsible to give assistance for the who have been so much into, who do not have anything, and who are pregnant women, and the newly born child, and the orphans who do not have parents, and also the old people. The state has to provide assistance for them. Okay, and he also made and proper provisions of regulating the dissolution. You can take divorce from the marriages and dissertation, remarriages again, dignity, chastity of the women, regulation of the prostitution, gambling, liquor, slaughter of animals. This all has to be checked on, and it has to keep a regulation there. So Kautilya, he favors for the control of trades and other occupations, because trade is something you do business. So it should be tax levied. What he said here. So he also gives he determined the proper rates of tax, profits, and the interest. So he also fixed pillars to different destinations, whatever the tax has to be given there. And he talks about the Council of Ministers. Okay, the Council of Ministers, he has divided the Council of Ministers, and it has to be discussed. King has to discuss those ministers at the time of war, peace, defense, and the alliances, and the finance and the pensions at that time. And you see, they have to be they have to, and even they have to maintain the secrecy within the, if there is an inner council meeting, if it is there with in between them regarding to some important situations, they have to maintain that secrecy. And where it only consists, that interstate council is only consist of 3 or 4 ministers only, where the king has to consult, especially at the time of emergencies here. Okay, so, and again, another is the departments you see. Another departments you see once. So here he says, um, uh, intellectual means minister, he has to have a blameless private life. He has to live a blameless private life. He should be very much with a high competency, and he should have a very good qualifications. Okay, so there are many departments in the working of the administration that is given by the Kautilya, you can see. And he also gives the administrative and the judicial revenue system, where there are different functions of the amatyas. Amatyas are the what say the uh, Amatya is the minister here. And then he also talks about the judicial system, which is very scientific, quite scientific, and very well planned. So he gives 2 kinds of courts, which one court is called as Dharmastya, which deals up with the civil cases, and Kandaka Shodhana, that deals up with the criminal court. Okay, the criminal practices here. And uh, above him, above the court, there is a king. Okay, there is a king, and that king is judged by the ministers here. Okay, he is being judged by the, he is not judged, sorry, he is being assisted by the ministers and the lawyers who are called as Vipras here. And next there is Danda. Danda means a uh, Danda in the Arthashastra has given a lot of importance. So it is one of those seven elements of the Saptanga theory, you can see, and it is the force of the state. You can see that forces in the text like Manusmriti and also in the Dandaniti, you can see here. So Kautilya observes that this theory of Danda has three principal directions. Firstly, it checks that if the society is going orderly or not. Then, if it is not going, then only the danda wakes up. If people are not following the rules, what happens? You will get punished by the king here. Okay. So, secondly, in the second place, he's giving a new techniques relating to the danda here. Okay. Thirdly, he is giving the explanation of the danda by giving the three alternatives. What is those three alternatives are? Firstly, when danda has to apply with a very good sound knowledge. Next, when it is applied improperly, improperly in the sense means if in the anger, if it is without knowledge, it actually goes like uh, it afflicts even the forest dwelling estate. They are not able to speak up of those households when it is, when the danda is not applied at all. It is leading to the condition that is been indicated by the maximum people, which is where you see the large fish is eating down the small fish here. So army, he has categorized the army into cavalry, elephants, infantry, chariots. Okay, so he has, you can see there is no such rank that is restricted here to the towards the army, but there was a patika. That patika was a rank here. You can see that patika was a particular. He will command all the arms here. Arms means arms and ammunition. All those people with the arms here. So Kautilya, he has actually supported 6 foot soldiers. Okay, 6 foot soldiers, where three of them are the Pratyodas. Okay, three of them are the Pratyodas, and the other three are the Pratigopas. Okay, so Pratyodas are the one who keeps this archery. Okay, you know what is archery is. So then Pratigopas is the one who has this shields, who has the swords, everything here. So again, he talks about elephant is being supported by the group of 5 horses here. Okay. So again, with that 5 horses, he will have 15 Pratyodas and the 15 Pratigopas. Okay, and each group of the subunit is been commanded by the, each subunit is called as patti. Okay, that small unit is called as patti. So again, this patti is commanded by the, in the start we have learned that pattika. The pattika will command this patti here. Okay, so the spy system, he says, there should be a very sound system of spies here, you can see, and that is where the spies should also not know each other, and they also should and Kautilya also mentions about the women spies and also the spies on the spies here. Okay, so he has adopted different methods to bring there are spies, spies, what they do, they may try to make the rumors, and they try to what's it, spread the falsehood here. So there are different methods that has been adopted by the spies who do all this propagation of rumors and the falsehood, you can see. The corruption is what it talks about. The If a employer has been committed the corruption, he should vomit all whatever he has taken inside. Okay. Next, he talks about the foreign policy. In the foreign policy, he talks about the mandala theory. Mandala theory is nothing but a theory. Mandala means the circles here. So that means your neighbor is your natural enemy. And beside that neighbor is your neighbor's friend. Okay, and this is how the circles that goes on. Okay, so this is where you see there are the circle of friends. Okay, so here the king is called it as Vijigisha. Okay, the king here is the Vijigisha and the state here. So this mandala, this circles comprises of 12 types of kings or states, where one would be the conqueror. Conqueror means the one who is capturing, which is the central in the middle part of the circle here, who is the Vijigisha. Beside to him is the enemy whose territory borders you see, and that would be conquered. Okay, that would be conqueror. The your enemy is where you want to conquer. You want to win on him. So, which is a very disliked neighbor. Okay, so the ally. So, beside the neighbor, we have our friend sitting. Okay, so that is where he is lying very next to our neighbor here. So again, you see friend, the enemy's friend who is a neighbor of once one ally, once who has one that as a ally. Ally means the friendship here. Okay, so again, the ally, the friend's friend is of, you see, he is of the territorial distant. He is very much far away. The Vijigishu. Okay, so then the ally of this enemy's ally, okay, the friend of the enemy is also the friend who is enemy's friend who is also very much far away, territorial distant. Here you can see the raid. Okay, the raid is nothing but again the backside would be the conqueror to whom you want to win here. So the far again is the backward, if you see, is your enemy again. Again, the distant people is your friend. So the friend of the rearward, the friend of the rearward means the back forth again is the friend here. Okay, so the neutral king or the neighboring state, both should be conqueror. Okay, and they have to be and its enemy, but it is very stronger than both. Okay, so the circle one consists of the king, who is the Vijagishu. The first circle consists of Vijagishu, his friend, and his friend's friend. The second circle consists of his enemy and his friends, enemy's friend, friend's friends. Third circle consists of Madhyama, the middle one, who is his friend, and the and his friend's friends. The fourth circle consists of Udasina, who is a neutral. He is not in favor of them, not in favor of them. He remains the same. So he, along with his friend and his friend's friend, is the fourth circle you can see, and this is the mandala theory. So he has propagated in the six-fold policy. He talks about the how you interact with the neighbors and how you have to. He talks about the six forms of foreign policy. Okay, six forms of foreign policy, where what are that? Making peace, war, and neutrality, marching, protection, and protection of another. Okay, which is nothing but your alliance. Alliance means an agreement here. And fourthly, double policy. Okay, sorry. Sixthly, double policy. Double policy is nothing but you are waging war with one and you are not waging war with another. Okay, this is what your sixfold policy talks about. So the diplomacy here, the diplomacy in the war phase. So he talks about the sixfold policy, okay, which are the treaty of peace, war, neutrality, and making preparation. Okay, you have to make preparation for the attack without declaring a war. You should attack. You should not wage a war. That is a diplomacy. Okay, and also seeking protection of another. When you are in danger, you should seek protection with your fellow uh, alliance. Okay, and you have to follow the double policy, which means the waging war with one and making peace with another. So In this, principle of expediency is very much central importance according to Kautilya's formation of theory of state, you can see. Okay. And he talks about Kautilya's economic thought. If you see, um, it also in the Kautilya's Ardhashastra, it talks about how an administrative system should function and how it has to make payments and how it has to maintain all the payments of the salaries, the establishments, the army, the financing, multi functions. Okay, so where you see state itself is a very big landowner, right? Where it owns lot of ships, it has lot of ships, it has lot of natural resources, the mining things, the manufacturing things, and a whole of the forest produce. So but that is not sufficient, but where the share of income, but it is claimed as a share. What it is, that it is claimed as somebody's income for everyone else here, claimed a share in the income, that is a income for everyone's share here. Okay, so where that 1 by 6th of the produce, you see, it has to be the 1 by 6th produce, it has to be charged extra fees for their irrigation, is what he said. And there should be a collection of the fines and taxes, and the court of administration of and the fines should be collected in the justice system, you can see. And proper, and there should be a heavy excise on the drinks. Okay, and on the alcohol, you can see, even, and even on the prostitution, you can see. So this is the Kautilya here. So we will now see the Gautama Buddha here. So we all know Gautama Buddha's original name was Siddhartha Gautama. So where he has born in 566 BC in the Kapila Vastu near Lumbini in the Gorakhpur district. You can see he was the son of Siddhartha was the um, son of the king of Sakya dynasty. Okay, and he and her and his mother was Mahamaya, who died when he was 7 days old. So he was brought up by his stepmother, who was a sister of Mahamaya. Yeah, so Buddha marries Yashodhara at the age of 16, and he also got his son named Rahul. So for him, he led a life. For 13 years with them, and after 13 years he goes for the enlightenment thing, and from there it Buddha has died at Mahanirvana at the last stage, you see. So he has died at the age of 70 years old in the 486 BC here. Okay. So there are three baskets, which is called as three pitikas. Those are the Buddha's thoughts, where you and where we can see is in the three pitikas, the three thoughts. First is the discourses. Courses. Discourses are nothing but the courses on the Sutta Pitika. The disciplinary injunctions, which is called as Vinaya Pitika, and the metaphysics, which is called as Abhidhamma Pitika. Okay, these are the three divisions, traditional divisions, where you see Buddha's teachings are been recorded here. So there are um, four places you can see where are important. What are those four places? Are nothing but the Lumbini, where he has born, the Bodh Gaya, where he has attained the enlightenment, and next is the Sarnath, where he has delivered the first speech of truth here. Next is the Kusinagara, where he dies here. Okay, so the doctrine of Dhamma. Dhamma in the Pali language, it is said as Dharma, but in Sanskrit it is again called it as Dharma only. Okay, so there are three great traditions of Buddhist school of thought. One is Theravada or Hinaya, Mahayana, and the Vajrayana. Okay, so Mahayana and the Vajrayana, these are the schools of Buddhist thought. You can see this Hinayana and Vajrayana, Thinaya or Hinayan, Theravada or Hinayana. This is a small vehicle. You see in the southern. This is the southern. You see in the southern Buddhism, this is the southern Buddhism mostly found in Sri Lanka, Burma, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Chitangan in the Bangladesh. These are all in the south part here, and where the main stress is on the self transformation. Okay, how you can yourself transfer, you can yourself change, and the main stress, the emphasis laid on through the meditation only here. Next is the Mahayana, the name itself tells you that it is very great. So it is a great vehicle you see in the Eastern Buddhism, originating mainly in the India, and also it is going to the parts of, say, China, Vietnam, Korea to Japan here. So where all those texts, all those thoughts are recorded, documented in the text called Lotus Sutra. Okay. So it is more based upon the communal. Communal means based upon the community, and which has emphasized or stressed on the social transformation and the social activism, how you are participating in the society here. Next is the Vajrayana. Vajrayana talks about the, and it is the northern or the Tibetan Buddhism, you can see, the diamond thunderbolt it is called, or the Tantric Buddhism, where that is associated with the Nepal, you can see. Okay, Nepal, and you also see in the Bhutan, Mongolia, and some parts of China here. Okay, so it is shares very two traditions and very much associated with the northern parts, which means the Tibet, China. Here you can see. But now you see a new Buddhism in the present modern day, as there was an emergency of new Buddhism, which is called as Navayana. Nava means the new, which has been inspired by the Ambedkar here. Okay, because there was a mass conversion of what Hindu untouchables in 1956 when Ambedkar has died here. So he talks about the four noble truths. What are those four noble truths? Dukkha, Tanha, Nibbana, Ashtanga Marga. Dukkha means the suffering. Okay, one has to know your suffering here. So we see human. One has to know about how the sorrow goes up, and how beginning and the end of the life that are beyond the imagination of the human being here. Okay, the sufferings. So there are, he observed that there are efforts for earning. Human being, they take lot of efforts for suffering here, right? Sorry, to earn here. Okay, to earn here, and they satisfy their desires with the earning only. With that earning, there are human desires which are making them into the suffering here. So men, they get the greatest pleasure only when they fulfill. Yes, when we fulfill our things, then only we will get the pleasure here. So there they have to know how this suffering should be. So he is making affirm that the birth, the decay, jati, jara, vyadi, disease, and marana, death, these are, you cannot avoid, because anyone who is irrespective of this is position. Okay, he is giving the affirmations upon this things here. Next, the tanha means the cravings or the attachment. You can see attachment is the second noble truth you see in the Buddhist dhamma here, where man is so much in with the attachment. He has a lot of desires. He got this anger, fear, agony, sorrows because of this craving. You want to have something, you want to have something. So where it is actually showing the anxiety behavior of a human here, and where human beings, they want to wish more and more and more and more money. They want to have a higher level authorities. You see, human beings, they want more and more. They are not happy with one thing whatever they have. So this is where he talks about the cravings, how you have to be away from the ills of the human beings here. Next is the nibbana, cessation of the sufferings, how you should end up with the sufferings. Only when you know the proper knowledge of this, then only you will end up the sufferings here. Okay, how You when until and unless you avoid the sufferings, then only you can understand, you can be relieved from the ending of the session here. Okay, the Ashtanga Marga. Ashta means eight here. He talks about the eightfold parts. Where are what are those? Right, understanding, thought, speech, action, livelihood, efforts, mindfulness, and concentration. Again, these eightfold parts are being achieved only with the um, he talks about again with the another three things. That is where he gets how yourself, how you are making yourself totally involved in the what's it in the principles here, and how there should be a proper understanding, how there should be a proper meditation, how should there should be a proper mindfulness, and how there should be a right speech. You should speak up correctly, you should speak your actions correctly, you should do whatever you do, you have to make it a right effort. Okay, so next he talks about the karma. Karma is another thing is called as the karma here, which means that karma is the action, whatever we do. It is the doing. It is the action here. Where this karma is a fundamental concept for the Buddhist ideology. It is the total sum of one's mental, their verbal, their physical thoughts, whatever we do is the karma or the karma here, where it is regulated or reflected by one's mind. Here you can see these are the human beings deeds. Deeds are nothing but their humans actions, whatever they do. Okay, so it is totally linked up with the rebirth of your rebirth. Karma embraces both the past and present deeds here, where your rebirth is connected with your karma is what it is believed here. So there are few causes of karma. One is the ignorant. If you are not knowing, this is the chief cause of the karma here. Next is the craving. Craving is what the evil acts of human beings. They want everything. Okay, they want in need or in search of anything or the everything they do, they crave, and that craving they do all those immoral, not noble activities here. So are also there are few good deeds which are again associated with three elements, which is the generosity, goodwill, and the knowledge. Here you can see, so with that only you may be tend to know a good human being here, because with how generous you are, how good you are doing the good intentions here. Okay, so the karma also can be seen in many other factors as well, where you also see how they will develop the confidence and hope, the reliance and moral courage through this karma only, through this actions only. Okay, this karma is something a kind of to do good. If you are doing bad, you will be getting bad in somewhere in future. If you are doing good, you will be getting somewhere in future the good thing. So that is what it is, a kind of incentive for doing the good here. He talks about the sangha is what a equal society where he has established, and where he wanted to establish that organization on the model, and society should be on noble and model organization, where there is no scope for the corruption or the exploitation or the slavery, you can see. So Buddha, along with his 60 disciples, he has launched an organization which is called as Sangha, where the 60 members were his 60 people were his members to this. And it is very much democratic and communist in the nature. It is very much democratic because people are free here, and the communist because it is for the public welfare here in the allocation of the functions here. And in the first phase, you see there were people from the nobles, there were people from the elites or the aristocratic sections, they have joined as a members. But later, as in the due course of time, what happened, the people from the other sections of the society, they started joining it as a members. So everybody was very equal here, irrespective of whatever the caste they are from, the color they are having, the community, they are the religion here. For example, you see, um, there was a barber who had a chief position as a chief disciple. Sunita, she was a scavenger. Then is a Sati, who was a fisherman's son. And there is Amrapali, she was a prostitute, and this Rujumala was a slave. Okay. The Chapa was the daughter of hunter, and Suba was the daughter of goldsmith. So you see that nobody is here is top or the uh, superior here. Everybody is equal, where the people from another sections of society are also joining the chief position gather here. Okay. So where these Buddhists, they have trained centers for the monks so that they could spread the Buddhist dharma here. Okay. So you find next we will deal about the Buddhist political ideas. Okay. Buddhist political ideas where you find in the Jataka stories of Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Okay, Mahaparinibbana Sutta you can see. And what's the main function of Mahasammata is they have to maintain the law and order in the society. Okay, so the statecraft, according to the Lichavi dynasty. So he has mentioned many principles to the ruler of Lichavi dynasty, where he is saying that he should make what's a meetings very frequently on the king's decisions. Okay, the ruler the ruler has to form a king decision on the political matters here, and they also check the people will here. Okay, they have to consider with the people consent here. So they have to take their meetings very properly and promptly without any delay here. And the laws that should not remain on the papers, it should be interpreted here. And they have to be participative in the meetings, in the discussions held by the rulers, who the people has to. So there must be a coordination between the old and the new generation here, and the rulers king has to take a special um, care for promoting the welfare of the sections of the society here you can see. Next, they gives the much more importance to the democratic, to the spiritual and the educational matters here you can see. So he is also giving qualities of king, as he should be from a noble family, both from the parental and the maternal side. He should be very attractive and having a beautiful face, and he should have abundant property, wealth and greenery. He should be very strongful and very much powerful with the military forces, and he should have lot of faith in the god here, and he should have liberal attitude, which means he should be very free to the he should not have restricting attitude. He should be very free of everything. Liberal means the freedom here. He should also have a perfect knowledge in all of the spheres, and he should also have to able to explain the and he should able to analyze the situations that are going in that particular event that he is there. And he should be so much of intelligence and the knowledge and the wisdom that is been from the past, present and the future here. Okay. So talk next he talks about the concept of democracy. So Buddha has gave a lot of importance to the democratic system here in his preaching. So where he has give up the consideration with the popular wishes. It is the wish of the people here. In coming to decisions taken up by the ruler here you can see. So but the people activities are regulated by the society here. So he wanted to have a coordination between the old and the new generations you can see, right? So he also taught the youth about the how they have to not to act against the customs and the values. He also talks about the powers. There are five kinds of powers, which is physical, economic, group, inherent, and the knowledge power. Within these five powers, knowledge power is of very great importance. It is only with the knowledge power the other four rest it as a guiding principle. It is only until and unless you know the proper knowledge of about something, then you'll not have Until and unless you do not have any knowledge of about any power here, you will not be able to have such uh, area of your concentration, that you will not be knowing to that particular power here. So knowledge is the first and foremost thing here. Okay. So he also gives about the functions of the state, where the state has to safeguard the life and property of the individuals. It should teach its subjects, the people, with pitiness, with the patience and the kindness here. And it should also check that state has to help for the orphans, the women, and special care should be taken on the welfare sections here. It should also make policies based upon the virtues, you can see. Okay. The state should make whatever the necessary um, position that it has, also that it could safeguard its people and the territory here. Okay. And it also, state should also check that nobody in the state is unemployed. Okay. So this is the Buddha and his functions of the state here. Next we have the Basava. He was the prime minister and also the commander in chief in the and the treasurer in the Bijala of the Chalukya dynasty, you can see. So he was, however, around 1131 AD and 1196 AD. It is the generally accepted years of birth and the death of Basava here, you can see. And where he was very much unhappy to see how this superior classes, the superior classes were only had the right to perform certain rights and but not the others here. So he was not happy. So that's what he also left his parents and his relations um in he left out them when he was teen. He get out from that, he has saw that this is not going good, so he left them, and he came out from that when he was a teenager here. Because Basava, he had a lot of confluence of two rivers, the Krishna and the Malaprabha, you can see. Okay. So at Kundala Sangam, so Kundala Sangam is where he had lot of good fortune, good wealth, about how he was securing his guide and preceptors. The Isana Guru, he was the chief of that town. He was the chief of that township here, and who had a very deep idea, insight, and a very well read scholar. Okay, so at his place under his guru Basava, he might have read, studied, and mediated a number of literary and philosophical works here. Okay, so the social thought of Basava here, you can see it is based upon the Varna Dharma system. Okay, where how there are fourfold division. Okay, and where the hymn we you see the fourfold social order of the four limbs. We also know how this Varna Dharma system has came up into existence and how they have regarded this society. How are they making the society into the four things here? You can see. So I mean, four things is nothing but the past, the society here. So when the social conditions at the time of Basava, they were not very much clear. They were not much clear that was existed in the 12th century AD, and they were determined by the caste here, but not with the merits here. So there were very much of the inequalities and the caste and communities you see at that period of time. So he had a vision of casteless society. He does not wanted to have a caste here during this 12th century. He has led a religious revolution so that he could kill the caste and the creed, which has actually threatened the um, destiny of the man here. So he himself was our own example because he has rejected all those Vedic religions which was favor of Veerashaivism. Okay, which was having a lot of concern for the mankind. He was having a great concern for the mankind and also for those people who were exploited and who were ill treated as well. Okay, so its message to mankind was that society and religion is nobody's private property. Okay, and where every individual is equal here. Okay, they are equal in the eyes of the God. Here is what Basava has taught here. And you see, the acts of Basava here, a Brahmin maiden daughter of Madhuvasara was married to the son of Haralya, who was a cobbler here. So they both were having this Veerasaivism, and also they have taken those traditionalists to an extreme step, which was taken by Basava, and they poisoned the mind of the Bijalas, King Bijalas here. So Haralya and the Madhuvaras, they were cruelly executed here. So what happened? There was a violent reaction among the headlong of Basava's followers that was going on. So the whole movement which was led, that was drifted onwards, which was a controversial of opinion here you can see. So the economic thought, he talks about the concept of Kaya Kave Kailasa, which means work is worship. Okay, work is worship. So, where he propounded that only the bodily abled people are not entitled to his work unless and until he works to the sweat here. Okay, not only a good bodied person is entitled to work, but also until and unless he earns by the sweat of his brow. Okay, by how much he earns, like with the sweat, how much hard work he does for himself. Okay. So where he talks about the Kayaka and Dasoha production and the distribution. Okay, Kayaka and Dasoha means the production and distribution. Where he also spoken about the Kayakave, Kailasa work is worship. Kayakave means work is worship. Kailasa means worship. Okay, so where there was a divinity of the labor, you can see, and also the dignity of the labor. Okay, so where you see Basava had a great objective. He wants to build up a classless society because there is a owner class and there is a worker class. So he wanted to build up a classless society. So he was the first socialist in the world you can see here. Okay. So he had a vision of classless society as well. And next you can see his political thoughts here. So, where he has brought up the Anubhava Mantapa. Anubhava Mantapa is the establishment, it is because of the establishment of the then period issues that were going on. So, he has established this Anubhava Mantapa. It is one of the institution. Okay. This is a institution where you can see um, where it talks about the emancipation of the woman, and also it talks about nobody is high or nobody is low by birth or by sex or by whatever occupation they have. Secondly, there is no discrimination here between the man and the woman, between the man, yeah, and every woman has their equal rights, and every man has the right to follow their own path of self evolution, how they can progress. And women can also take up as kayaka. Okay, kayaka. So there must in Anubhava Mantapa, you can see there was an intercaste marriages and there was a free dining should be encouraged here. So there was the principle. These principles, whatever the principles here are there, these are where it has what say it has indicated that there was the indicates that discrimination against the women are on the basis here. Okay, discrimination against women on the basis only where the sex is not permitted in the 12th century. So okay, so where the women were given the equal rights along with the men for their evolution of their personality on being the equal basis here, and also the women were given their own choice to work here, any kind of choice, because it depended upon the economic dependency here. They were free to marry even from the other castes. You can see they have many of the principles, they are found even in the Indian constitution even after the 1800 years of these principles as well. Okay. So the concept of equality, you see, the concept of equality is where he did not believe in the ignorance is nothing but how you do not know anything. So he did not believe in the ignorance and the superstition activities here. So it is very much radical social materialism and metaphysical world here, which means something like a physical philosophical here. So his main philosophy, it contained of what, it contained of a criticism for what, for the caste and the gender differences, and he was against the idol worships here. So where you can understand the equality concept, where he also gave up the question of equality on what, on basis of equalitarian humanism. He wanted to treat that human with the equality here, and the religion should be the space for what, for the kindness. It should be the space for showing the kindness, the sympathy and equality to the every being. But in those days the religion used to be like somewhere uh, what say, somewhere it was like not of the equality. And also he talks about the concept of liberty, freedom, rights and duties. So he has advocated all this belonging to all the caste of people and the gender here. Okay, so he Basava actually fixes 7 duties to the citizens, which are called as Santa Sutras. Okay, 7 means Santa Sutras. In this, Vachana, ಕಲಭೇದ ಕೊಲಭೇದ ಹುಸಿಯ ನುಡಿಯಲು ಭೇದ ಮುನಿಯ ಭೇದ ಅನರಯಗೆ ಹಸ್ಯ ಪದಭೇದ ತನ್ನ ಬನಿಸಭೇದ ಇದಿರು ಹಲಿಯಲು ಭೇದ ಇದಿ ಅಂತರಾಂಗ ಶುದ್ಧಿ ಇದೇ ಬಹಿರಂಗ ಶುದ್ಧಿ ಇದೇ ಕೂಡಲ್ ಸಂಗಮ ದಿವಾನೋಲಸುವ pari, where he says not to steal, not to kill, not to lie, not to be angry, not to, you should not insult others, not to praise himself, and you should not condemn others, you should not criticize others. So where all this, when all this are not there, it leads to the purification, it leads to the purity of the soul here. So where if we take this Kudal Sangama Deva, as where the nation has to follow these duties, and where we can make the strong and able country here. As we have seen, he has been a very good emancipator for the women. He has given a very good important dimension on the women's emancipation here in the humanitarian aspects, Basava. So where Basava, he was the first after the Buddha to recognize the individual rights here. So in the 20th 12th century, sorry, the 12th century, he has struggled for the downtrodden, for this male and female equality here, and where he has given the equal rights. And you see there are uh, other than him, there were other social religious reformers who have also followed this path of emancipation of women here. So where he is treating that every woman should has the right to access of everything here, the concept of new social order. So the 12th century, it was based up on the inequalities, and that inequalities was disturbed by the many of the religious teachers and the scholars, you can see. So where among them is the Basava, who has responded to that differences that has been created in the social order, so that he could rectify, he should pull out that social evils that were existing in that period of time. So he wanted to reconstruct, again construct the society based upon what, based upon the equality, rationality. Rationality is nothing but a proper reason, and a humanism, you being a human, you should treat the other with a humanity here. So there was Basava's attention with the other saranas. They established the Anubhava Mantapa at the Kalyana, so which has become, that Mantapa has become a center. So center of activities of this Veera Shaiva movement here, you can see. Okay, through this only there was a principles of Kayaka and Dasoha. Means Kayaka is the production, Dasoha is the distribution, which has succeeded in building up a new society that society is free from exclusive. Okay, you are exclusive. Okay, exploitation and also the um oppression. Exclusive means you have been excluded, you have been removed. So that is not seen in the new society, so which is free from that exclusiveness, exploitation and oppression. Here again it has restored, again stored all those equality among the people and also the dignity of labor, you can see. Okay, so where he has visualized a society which is not divided into many of the sections here by the caste differences that were uh, prevailing, but it should be based upon the cooperative existence. Everybody should have the cooperation, and society, it should consist of the, as it is having the individuals, it should assist or whatever the matters that are there with the lot of good, outmost good. Here you can see where they should follow every occupation whatever they he or she follows. Okay, irrespective of whatever follow um, that society, irrespective of whatever the occupation that they have, the financial position that they have, is they have been placed. So where which that society is meant to have a welfare of all. So he actually demonstrated it to the world here. So this is the Basava today. Thank you.